Hi friends, it's Belinda here from BMakingJoy, and welcome to episode 47 of What Brings Me Joy, a mostly knitting podcast from my home here in Calgary, Alberta. I'm recording this on Sunday, January 26, 2025. And this is where I share my knitting progress, keep track of the works that I cast on, make sure I someday finish them. And to hold me accountable. And sometimes you get sneak peeks of my designing work. In this episode, I have, I think, 4 finished objects to show you. I've made some progress on a couple of other ones, and there might be a new cast on to show you. And I don't have any new yarn acquisitions, but I did buy some new bags that I want to show you at the end in the acquisition section. You'll find my videos have timestamps across the bottom, each section being where I talk about a different pattern. Or there'll be my life update, there'll be the finished objects, then there'll be the works in progress, and then my acquisitions. And somewhere in there we do a WIP count update. And I put links in my description box for any of the patterns that I've talked about. So I'll jump in with my life update. Briefly, it's been pretty icy in Calgary, so I've avoided going out. Certainly haven't done anything not where I needed to walk any long distance, but I have been keeping up my treadmill walking. Dan and I did spend a week in Fernie, British Columbia, where he did a lot of downhill skiing and I did a lot of knitting and a lot of hot tubbing. We did a short hike, but the cold air hurt my lungs and the coughing fit. Well, full disclosure, I wet myself and had to come back to the house before I froze. I'm sure women of a certain age can understand that. So, yeah, that was the extent of my exercise that week. But like I said, I've been keeping up with my treadmill while we're at home. We had a few nice dinners out. Fernie has a Himalayan restaurant, Himalayan spice that I really enjoy. We both really enjoy. And the Lizard Creek Lodge just down the hill from where we were staying has a nice restaurant in it. So we had a couple of nice date nights out and a wonderful week. I enjoyed Sunday morning worship at the Kingdom Hall there in Fernie. I think that's the first time I visited another congregation since COVID. And it's nice to be welcomed at any congregation in the world and to know that we're all studying the same part of the Bible at the same time. It was nice to meet some new people. Well, although I struggle with shyness, and maybe you can help me out on that. What are some kind of questions that you ask to start a conversation with someone that you've just met? I need some tips too for a trip that's coming up because I'm tagging along with my husband to a conference and there'll be a lot of people. There'll be people there that I met before, but my memory for faces and names, it'll be like starting over for me anyway. So do you have some cool conversation starters I can use? Anyway, but this is the knitting podcast and returning viewers can already see what my first finished object is. So let's dive in. This is the Milton Cardigan by Joji Locatelli. And let me get back and show you a better view of it. Step up my footstool. It still needs to be blocked so that this hem can lay straight. But I am really pleased with it. So, yeah, while we were away, there was another project that I was focusing on, but I still made sure to do 4 rows a day on my cloak and on 4 rows a day on this. And then suddenly I realized, hey, it's long enough. It's ready to cast off. So I did the little ribbing and bound off it. Well, anyway, it might even be too long given that it probably will stretch, but if it gets too long over time, I can easily rip back and shorten it because it was a top-down knit. The Milton Cardigan by Joji Locatelli. Starts with the shawl collar, the saddle shoulders, There we are. The set-in sleeves. Slight modification I had to do because my row gauge is tighter than hers. I got more rows in this section, which meant I had to pick up more stitches around the armhole because I couldn't fit in any less. It would be too much. But then had to do more short rows in the shaping. But it worked out wonderfully. Nice fit. And I did a different bind off. Well, she doesn't specify which bind off to use. She just says bind off loosely in pattern. And I decided to try the Sewing Italian bind off for the first time. And it's a lovely bind off for a 1x1 rib. It just rolls over the edge nicely. So time consuming to do, especially on the hem. And yeah, like I said, it's lovely on the 1x1 rib section. I'm not too sure about on my 3x1 section, but overall, I'm very happy with it. I think it was worth the time it took. These yarns are the sport weight. The gray is a sport weight. Fiber Natura Kingston Tweed in the color Marble. And the blue is a lace weight Manos de Uruguay Marina in the color Atlantis. And I love the texture that those two different fibers make. But yeah, I think it still needs to be blocked to smooth out that wrinkly look. Just checked my notes to see if there was anything else I wanted to tell you about it. Yeah, I highly recommend this pattern, although I myself probably won't make it again. I will look forward to making another one of Hohi's patterns. It was wonderful. Okay, my next finished object is another dishcloth from my treadmill knitting. It's the Practical Little Heart pattern by Heidi Karameyer. Yes, there'll be a link in the description below. And I find I need knitting to keep me motivated to stay on the treadmill. But I knit very slowly on the treadmill. So it takes me 4 or 5 sessions, 1-hour sessions. It takes me 4 or 5 of them to get a dishcloth done. One of these dishcloths. I could do a square one faster. Anyway, I'm still enjoying this pattern, so I have another one already started down there. I have a 12-ounce skein of this stuff. It's a large Bernat Handicrafter cotton, red, white, and pink. So I'll make a few more. I think I'll start putting them in my purse and giving them away. Now, finished objects 3 and 4 are my blanket mittens pattern. I showed you them as half objects last episode. Now they have their mates. So this is my blanket mittens pattern that I published in November of 2022. And I no longer had any in my possession, so I decided I needed some for my trip to Fernie. So my pattern is made for this Bernat blanket yarn, but I also decided I wanted mittens in this Lion Brand Hometown yarn, which is also a bulky yarn of the same weight class. This was leftovers from my Hometown hoodie pattern. And I knew it was going to knit up smaller because of the construction, but I was a little surprised at how much smaller. Nonetheless, they're both warm and comfortable. The pattern is roomy enough that the smaller size is still very nice. There. They're both warm and comfortable, and I love them. Now on to works in progress. My favorite WIP this past week has been the Papillon Shawl pattern by Maradona Knits. And I made one of these shawls for my daughter 3 or 4 years ago. I think I'll pop a picture up here for you. I enjoyed it so much I immediately started one for myself. And then the last time I worked on it was on our last trip to Fernie. So I decided it was the right one, that it was only right to bring it out for this trip too. Because I couldn't really work on it at home because I needed room to spread out 2 yarns on the go at the same time, and my pattern, the pattern is such that every row is a short row, and there are different stitch counts in every row, so I needed to keep referring to the pattern, and most of the time you need 2 pages at the same time. So I need to get them spread out beside me. And at home, my cat very quickly was on me, on the yarn, on the pattern, knocking off my marker. I have there we go. For the marker, I have 2 magnets stuck together that I can slide up and down to mark where I am. So at home I was having trouble keeping it together. So it got put aside. So yes, I took it back to Fernie and did quite a bit more. There is my marker there. There's the progress keeper where I was before this recent trip. It actually goes this way. It's the top. It's knit from the center out, top down. And it's hard to show you the full effect bunched up on the needles, but you can see how pretty it is. Now, I think anyone who knows me by now knows that I will very easily go off script with regards to yarn choices, especially for shawls. So the original pattern is in a fingering weight yarn. This is classed at the DK weight yarn, but I think kind of a little heavy on the DK weight. It is Loops and Threads by Michaels, from the Michaels store. And yeah, this base is called Cozy Wool Merino. Now, I bought it several years ago. I don't know if they still make this base. It's very hard to find anything with wool content in it in Michaels. But this one is 55% wool, 45% acrylic. Yep, there it is. 55% superwash merino, 45% acrylic. And this colorway is called Multi Iris, and I'm pairing it with black. It's a lovely stained glass look. Wow, a butterfly look. So I'm enjoying that. I don't know when I'll get back to it again. I am in the last third, halfway through the last third of the section. If you can tell, it's divided up into thirds by these big thick lines. So I'm halfway through the last third, but of course each row gets longer. I don't know how much more work it needs, but it might get picked back up in February when I finish it February. I'm thinking I might have to do it on my bed, because my bed is higher than this one. And my cat maybe can't get up there anymore. He's getting old. I haven't seen him on the bed in quite some time. Anyway. Yeah. I don't have a digital copy of the pattern, so having to spread the papers out is difficult. Because my daughter bought the original one as a kit from Mary Maxine, and I'll put a picture of hers up. It was done in a fingering weight yarn from Earth Yarns. It came part of the kit. But so this one's going to be so much warmer, and yeah, there's no way of guessing how big it's going to get. Because, of course, when you use a different size yarn than recommended, you're going to get a different size project. Okay, let me clean this up and regroup. You probably noticed I took off my sweater. It's because it's so hot in here with the door closed. With the overhead lights and the ring light and my happy light over there. Whew, I'm melting. Okay, my trainer cloak, I also kept up with doing 4 rows a day, plus a little more because it was my car knitting for the road trip. So it's coming along. I'm about an inch away from, oh, my step stool's gone. I can't show you. I'm about an inch away from doing the seed stitch hem, which I'm going to do in this color. So I will put it on and put in a clip for you later. But, this is a pattern that I've designed. There's going to be a delay in publishing the pattern because, well, I only had one test knitter and she had to withdraw for reasons that I do understand. And obviously I'm not keeping up as well as I'd like to either. But she gave me good feedback. The tech editor says the pattern is good. So as soon as I finish my sample, I will publish to Ravelry and Etsy. The original design, the original sample for this pattern was designed with my daughter's Pokemon themed set of minis and did a trainer ball pattern on the hood. And I am getting a little nervous about promoting Pokemon, Pokeball, if that's going to be copyright infringements, intellectual property infringements. I don't know. So I wanted to first make sure that I had a plain colored version available too, so I could show you that you can modify it, use whatever color combinations you want, for whether it's for cosplay or for just wearing. So anyway, unfortunately, because I was using mini skeins, I didn't grade it 2 sizes. It's a 1 size fits up to a 48-inch bust, so not entirely size inclusive. I apologize. That's the way it's going to have to be. So this yarn, for this one, I'm using Lasco Fine by Ancient Arts Yarns. And Lasco Fine is 25% Max Lohan, 75% Punta Arenas wool. Maybe someday I should actually figure out how to actually pronounce those. Anyway, this color is Kismet, and I'm pairing it with Baby Aubergine. So yeah, I'm about an inch away from starting the seed stitch hem. Then it'll be a seed stitch button band, and then the hood all in this color. I'm looking forward to having it. I do think I actually will wear it. I used a 2.75 millimeter needles to get a denser, more weather resistant fabric. Yeah, I'll take a video clip upstairs in my little hallway in my room where I get the best lighting and the best view. So this is my trainer cloak design. I'm about an inch away from starting my seed stitch hem. It's rolling up. So the seed stitch hem will stop it from rolling. And then it will have a seed stitch button band. And then a plain hood. That trim is, and the hood is all going to be done in a different color. Coming along nicely. Slowly but surely. Miles and miles of stockinette knitting. But I am enjoying the fabric. I think it's going to be wonderful. I've cast on a new project to keep in my purse to work on while I'm out and about. Use the rattling. I don't know why I'm using a plastic bag, but this is a modification on the Sophie scarf, or really any of the skinny scarves. I enjoyed doing this Sophie scarf as the purse project, except that I had to keep counting the rows to see if I'm at the increase or decrease row yet. So with this modification, I decided to just rapidly increase so that I can get quickly to the just knit and don't think part. And I also stopped narrower than the actual Sophie scarf pattern is, so that I would still have enough material that I can tie with. So we'll call it a skinny scarf. I'm using a DK weight yarn This is my leftovers from my seafoam top. I have finished just a little scrap ball I had, and then I have this bit. That's a total of 29 grams. Might be enough. We'll see. We'll see how long it gets. I do also have another full skein of this stuff. This is Knittle Soft DK from Ancient Art Yarns in the colorway Tea and Biscuits. And I was going to tell you what size needle I'm using, but I've forgotten. Doesn't matter. Yeah, very simple. I think while I'm editing this video, I'll finish off the rest of this tail and get started on this one so that it's easy to take in and out of the purse and just do a row or two at a time. So I got some work done at the restaurants waiting for our food, and I got some work done at the dentist. I think that's going to be the perfect purse project. It's a 4mm needle, and I'm using plastic so that I don't set off any metal detectors anywhere I might happen to go. Not that there's a lot of metal detectors around, but there is at on the hockey game. This is Denise, a cheap interchangeable set from Michael's Denise, of which I have broken a lot, but my 4mm needles are still good. I also started a knit along of sorts with the Unraveling podcast, which is an audio podcast. I listen to it on the Apple Podcasts app or Spotify. I'll link to their page below, and then you can see where you can listen to it at. So we're doing a knit along with Patty Lyons's book, The Knitting Bag of Tricks, with her new workbook. And this is lesson 1 in the workbook. And it was interesting. You can see the different tensions that different stitch combinations make. I think my knits and purls are fairly even. I don't have any rowing out. This top section is where we tried English mount knitting. I normally do Western mount, and then we tried some English mounting. So my tension was off in that. For me, the English mount with a tighter tension, which will be helpful if ever I need a tighter stitch for something, like maybe to tighten up that first purl stitch after a cable. So it's a very interesting process working through this workbook. I'm going to keep at it. And we have a Ravelry page set up. Unraveling has a Ravelry page set up to chat about this. And every 2 weeks we're going to move into the next lesson. So it's not too late to join. Okay. Now let's do a WIP count update. Although I do have a Ravelry page set up for this knitting bag of tricks, it's not counted in my list of WIPs here. So I finished 4 projects this episode. I restarted another dishcloth, and I started a new project for my purse. So that brings me to 9 works on the needles. And this is the lowest WIP count I've had in a long time. And I'm very happy with my tracking method that I've got set up for this year. So then, although I might have to start another project for my upcoming plane trip. We'll see, because I don't know if any of my remaining projects are small enough to take with me. We're probably only going carry on. But that's a future episode. I'll give you my feedback next episode. So yeah, my WIP count is at 9. Now, acquisitions. I have some new bags to show you. Here we go. I get regular emails from Mary Maxim Canada, where I have bought a number of projects over the years. And when a new style of bag popped up on the email with bees on it, I looked at them and I said, ooh, yes! Plus the shipping was only $4.99. But there were several different types of bags, and I looked at them and I couldn't decide which one to buy. So I left it for a while, and then the next email from Mary Maxim was a coupon for 20% off. And so I ordered 3 different bags. So the first one was this little project bag. It's designed for crochet, actually, because this outside pocket has pockets for crochet hooks. I've already got a nail file in there. I'll probably add a pen in there. I don't crochet, but other things can go in there. One crochet hook for fixing mistakes, I guess. And my thought with this was that that pocket is also good enough to put my passport and boarding pass in for airplane knitting. And I've already got supplies in here to make a pair of socks, so that probably will be my plane trip knitting. So that yarn is my leftovers from the yarn that my cousin gave me to remember my sister by, and I've already made myself a pair of socks with it. So I think I'll make another pair of socks for my mother. I've got a dark blue yarn in there to pair it with. I haven't weighed this. I don't know how much I have left, how far a pair of socks will go. So I'll start at the toe and do them 2 at a time and see how long they get. So that'll probably be cast on by the next time I podcast. And then I ordered 2 other bags, and I am surprised at how large they are. So this is a duffel bag with a little pocket in the front. Not a very deep pocket, so I don't know what I would use it for. It barely fits my hand. And then a full-size body pocket, all lined, but there's no extra pockets in there. And it has the hole in the end to feed your yarn out through, but you know what? I've never seen the point of that, feeding your yarn out of your bag. Because once you've started a project, it's stuck that way with the one end on your needle and the other end on your ball inside the bag. So you can't, how do you store it? I guess you put the project in the bag and then you've got the yarn hanging outside to get dirty. So I probably won't ever use that part of it. I'm not sure how big I thought this was. Did I not even read the description? I don't know. But bees! And then a tote bag version, which has no extra pockets but for the big one. But it's a pull-out drawstring pocket. So that can hold a very large project. So I am happy with that purchase. But yeah, I'm a sucker for a sale, a sucker for coupons, and I guess now bees! Since my daughter made our bee logo, it's all bees. You might see a few bees in the background. Anyway, that is my acquisitions. That is all I have intended to talk about this episode. So I'll say goodbye now. I'll say thanks for watching. And happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy beading, happy jigsaw puzzling, happy baking, happy sewing. Whatever it is that you like to do, go make some joy.